Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I know, I'm sorry. Fashionably late. Well, that's due to the fact that I had a beautiful date with my bed. Um, Due to the fact that sometimes I don't know how to sleep when nighttime comes. But I wanted to be able to grace Ayo with my presence today so that we could have a good discussion, a discussion on some things that's going to be impacting the people of the Virgin Islands. But before we begin, we gotta start off the right way. So let's take a moment. Just take one step at a time. In everything, God is in control. Just take one step at a time. You don't have to sell your soul for material gain. It will be rough sometimes. God made it that way. It's a spiritual test for you to see if you will agree. Just have some patience along the way. Keep it going to the top spiritually. You'll be growing up. By God, you were chosen to walk along that road. Keep it rising to the top. You are climbing up. Success comes with timing and realizing that you are a beautiful soul. Just take one step at a time. In everything, God is in control. Just take one step at a time. The race is not for the swift. The mistake is when you rush in. It's bad business and destroy relationships. Have patience and discipline. It's a whole bunch of love in me. This is not for the swift. The mistake is when you rush in. It's bad business. And that's exactly what we're speaking about today. Business. Business. So I just want y'all to do yourselves and everyone around you a favor and share the link. You know, we are going to be speaking about economic development. So we have a there's gonna be a very enlightening summit coming um to us within I don't want to give you a wrong date. I want to make sure. Let's just not speak on dates right now. You know, let's talk about the details behind economic development and the economic development that will be hitting Virgin Islands. So, for those of you who didn't know, there's about $25 billion in federal disaster recovery and resilience funds. And, we often complain about the fact that we're not given any insight on what's taking place around us, especially things that benefit us. So I thought about it, and until the day comes, we're going to be having conversations about economic development and the benefits that come with it. Now, I also want to make sure that before we get into anything too deep, we big up our brands them, um, the same people that could benefit from um, these different opportunities. Big up to DTF prints, high quality, 707-671-2481. And guys, I got my mug. you know. I am more than happy. You understand me? As you can see, I get my logo, Dream Catchers VI, posted by Tiniqua Knowles. I also get a coaster. I stopped playing with it. Um, I have my t-shirt, which I was gonna wear, but I'm saving it for a special day or a special someone. You know what I'm saying? I done told I already that when I start to bring in my different merch, I'm gonna be directing it towards my listening audience, my viewers and my listening audience. So if you wanna keep sick, and it can't be my mug, because my mug is my mug until I get some more. But just stay tuned because the upcoming shows will be having opportunities to win such prizes. I also have stickers and so much more. But also we for a fact we got to big up Serenity's Nest. Tonight is gonna be having a menu, a deep menu. You know, let's get into it. Our menu is gonna be having mm, 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 mm. I still waiting on some more information for some stuff in regards to Serenity. So as we go along, we might update. But as for now, the menu um is gonna be alkaline platter with seasoned boglar, wheat marinated kale, and arugula cucumber salad, plantain salad, nori rose wrap, almond meat with peppers and avocado, live and living um, enzymes. I think it's gonna be having a DJ. It's gonna be featured. Sunday for sure is gonna be Fire Train Band. $10 to get in. The positive people for the positive change is going to be having the first fundraiser by food. They're going to be selling food and what have you. And see, I telling you, go green. You know what we mean. Catalyst and Fire Train Band. We get it. We get a 4-leaf clover, you know. So doors open at 4 p.m. until 11 p.m. The band starts at 7. Entry is $10. Food sale held by Positive People for Positive Change Committee. I'll come true, support, have a good time and make sure that you're able to unwind because Serenity Nest is where you're able to make sure that your Zenergy is nurtured. Zenergy meaning good energy. So let's talk about economic development. How many of you knew about Section 3? Section 3 and local reference. I bet none of you have. Well, that's fine. Guess what? We're gonna learn today. Um, Section 3, priority for low income workers and businesses. Uh, each HUD Section 3 program is a federal rule that applies to housing and community development funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. What it means? Well, when government agencies spend HUD disaster recovery money, they must try to give jobs and contracts to local residents and local businesses first, especially those that employ low income residents, are owned by low income residents, hire workers from public housing and disadvantaged communities. So, this is a section that is basically created to enrich the urban communities. Me and you just starting your business. And this is why it's important to invest in yourselves. You understand me? And invest in your ideas. As we go through today, you're going to be learning about what sections you may fit in. And this is going to be sponsored by the office of Senator Hubert L. Fedrick, chairman of economic development and agriculture. Before, you guys have heard, we had the listening in for the farmers, which was a basically an event where allowed farmers to come and give insight on what's going on, what they need, what can be done to help them, and also to be able to enlighten them about different opportunities that may be on the table that they have never been aware of or made aware of. So let's dive a little bit deeper. So, businesses that qualify as a Section 3 business. If you're just joining, please make sure to share the live. So, a company may qualify if it meets one of these conditions. So, it's not too hard. You just gotta listen carefully, take notes, and find your spot, find where you fit in. So, 51% owned by low income residents. So if you have a company that 51% of it is owned by an individual who is known to be low income residents, meaning you just getting up there or whatever the case may be, you'll be qualified for Section 3 businesses. For Section 3. Number 2, 30% of employees are low income residents. So even if you're bypassed that low income spectrum and you're a little more higher, well, guess what? You just have to ensure that your employees are 30% low income residents. Number 3, the businesses commits to hiring low income residents for the projects. So I know you have a lot of big companies with big contracts here. The ways that they win over some of these builds are because they make an agreement that, okay, I want this contract, which might be 200 million, whatever the case may be, and I'm going to hire individuals from urban neighborhoods, urban neighborhoods meaning Arodias, Williams and Light, you know, the list goes on, Red Brick, let me keep going, Mali, all these different in these different neighborhoods. So when you get a job within a big, when you get a job at a big time company, you're getting this job because they are under a Section 3 contract. So types of jobs or type of contracts available through Section 3. Let's figure out where you might fit in. Local businesses can win work in areas like, yeah, you see, Dijon, we just get into the part. First, construction, roofing, electrical, plumbing, masonry, carpentry, and that's not all. Professional services, project management, engineering, environmental consulting, accounting, compliance monitoring, and security, transportation, support services, including security, transportation, landscaping. We know all I love to cut some grass. I need my grass cut, and they need to renew this contract with VI Housing Authority, but that's for another day. Catering, so even those of you who likes to cook and cater to different businesses or whatever, cleaning services, so janitorials and all of that there. If you have your license and you have a small business that is a cleaning service, a catering company, security, transportation, meaning that you have vehicles, you have members, project manager is perfect because that can cover anything once it's under the scope of the project. Exactly. So with project management, like you just said, if it's somebody dealing with the roofs and you're familiar with that, your company does that, you can manage that. If it's somebody dealing with the flooring, guess what? You can manage that. Somebody dealing with the plumbing, you can manage that. That one is a very wide range contract that would be able to be beneficial. Plumbing is something that a lot of people don't jump into, but it's needed everywhere. Carpentry, you already know to build anything, you gotta have carpentry, electrical, roofing, and masonry also. And like I said, with professional services, engineering, environmental counseling. So just being able to consult somebody about the type of equipment they may need. Like we live in the Virgin Islands where it's always hurricane season and all these different things. So when it's time to give when it's time to give ideas for storm proofing a building, that's going to be something that's be beneficial. Now, those of you on Facebook, I go in and check and see real quick. I'm not going anywhere. I go in and get a date of the flyer and I come in right back. So stay right here, it ain't gonna end. Share the live while I go and get a flyer, you know. But for those of you listening via radio, let's get into it. So May 20, 2nd, 2026. Friday, May 22nd, 2026. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to my other phone so that I could be able to keep that right here, which I probably already do, but I didn't think about it. All right, guys. Okay, guys, I am back. Now, let me see my camera flip. All right, so the summit that is coming up in regards to economic development, is going to be on May. It's going to be May 22nd, Friday, May 22nd, 2026. And I wanted to go and make sure that I get the proper date, so I went for the flyer, one that I'm creating through my own business because I'm going to benefit from this $25 billion in economic opportunities for the Virgin Islands. My business is wide range and it involves consulting, it involves media, it involves so much. If you've been following me, you would see that there is that I've posted my business and so forth. Let's pick up Serenity's Nest one more time. Tonight is DJ Aurora. The night is called Playlist. And like I said, on Sunday, we having the Fire Train Band. But it says, go green, you know what we mean. Doors open at 4:20. So I hope that help you to understand. Catalyst and Fire Train, doors open at 4:20, 11 till until 11 p.m. That would be on Sunday. $10 entry. Food on sale by Positive People for Positive Change Committee. And, live bar with a fully stocked live bar that offers mixed drinks, different house specials too, and beers, you name it, and some wine, even if you don't want to be drinking. No, Wendy, you should come out. So one of these days we could have a day where we link up and we relax, over at Serenity's Nest. Depending on the night, the children are welcome to come. But I'm working on making sure that I get for very stacked nights like the Fire Train night, so that we could get um babysitters. But let's get back into it. What is local preference rules? So, the government of the Virgin Islands allows local businesses to receive preference in government biddings. And for a while, it's been something that's been on a hush hush. My friend go no, this person go no, but now the office of Senator Hubert L. Frederick, the chairman of economics, development, and agriculture, is bringing it to the community on May 22nd, 2026. So what this means, local preference rules. When contracts are awarded, local companies may receive extra evaluation points. So basically, a boost within that section. Outside companies may be required to partner with local subcontractors. So now, even if, and don't get intimidated, even if a major company comes in and they win the bid, one of the requirements is that they subcontract local businesses. So we just talked about different businesses under the scope of Section 3, which would be construction, roofing, electrical, plumbing, masonry, carpentry, professional services, which would be project management, engineering, environmental consulting, accounting, compliance monitoring, and support services such as security, transportation, landscaping, catering, and cleaning services. So let's go back over local preference rules. The government of the Virgin Islands allows local businesses to receive preference in government biddings. What this means, when contracts are awarded, local companies may receive extra evaluation points. Outside companies may require to partner with local subcontractors. Some contracts are set aside for Virgin Islands businesses. So this is why, it's important to know what is going on, what you can benefit from what your island offers. This ensures that federal recovery money circulates in the local economy. We talked about this last week when I said, I feel economical growth is investing in our own people, building our own millionaires rather than begging for opportunists to come in and just give a fraction of what they create. Why not create our own millionaires and allow them to invest back into the territory with the monies that they have generated? And this summit, it opens up your mindset, it opens up the opportunities so that you can be able to have economical growth. So, subcontracting opportunities. This is a hidden gold mine, people. So listen carefully, open up your ears, and hear what is offered to you. And I say you very loosely because any one of us could go buy a license, start a company, and invest in ourselves. I made a post this week where I said my best and biggest investment was investing in myself. Many large contractors go to major firms from many large contracts go to major firms from the mainland. However, those companies must subcontract portions of the work locally. So, for example, a $200 million project might require 10% to 30% local subcontractors, like we spoke of. They might have to subcontract their plumbers, their project managers, their so much more. Also, local hiring targets. That's why you see so many different opportunities open up for Virgin Islanders when it comes to jobs. It's good to be able to get a job, but imagine being able to obtain a subcontract or even a contract due to investing in yourself. It's not something that is easy. It takes time. It takes guts. You know what I'm saying? The first step is always, always, always the hardest one. You know what I mean? So let's continue. We stated 10 to 30% local subcontractors, is required when within these big contracts, local hiring targets, and then section 3, reporting. So for those of you who are just coming in, let me give you a little scope of what section 3 is. Section 3, priority for local low income workers and businesses. HUD Section 3 program is a federal rule that applies to housing and community development funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Now, we have all heard about Section 8, and look how much so many people have benefited off of doing so. Having a house, having a place, and it being you being able to afford it due to Section 8. So imagine a Section 3 where it is a priority for local low income workers and businesses. HUD Section 3 program is a federal rule that applies to housing and community development funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. You know, I really appreciate that the Office of Senator Hubert L. Frederick is allowing the people of the Virgin Islands to have a take in this $25 billion in recovery money. You know, it gives you that foot in the door. Wait, I want my people to earn too. You know what it means when government agencies spend HUD disaster recovery money, they must try to give jobs and contracts to local residents and local businesses first, especially those that employ low income residents, are owned by low income residents, hire workers from public housing or disadvantaged communities. You want to know who I see is really and truly taking advantage of this Section 3 opportunity is our blessings. What's up? Is our landscapers. And I want to say big up to Ayo, big up, big up, big up, because it is a necessary thing, you know, to make sure we get a piece at the pie too. Types of contracts available through Section 3. You know, I'm just recirculating for those of you who are just entering. You know, contracts and constructions would be roofing, electrical, plumbing, masonry, carpentry, professional services, which is project management, engineering, environmental consulting, accounting, compliance monitoring, and then support services such as security, transportation, and landscaping, catering, and cleaning services. So take a time and figure out what you want to invest in. What is something you feel comfortable doing? You know, we're talking about subcontracting opportunities, which is a very big hidden gold mine. Many large contracts go to major firms from the mainland. However, those companies must subcontract portions of the work locally. For example, a $200 million project might require 10 to 30% local subcontractors or the local hiring targets and Section 3 reporting. This creates opportunities for trucking companies, equipment rentals, security firms, and surveying, IT support, catering for construction crews. So that's just a small scope of who benefit under subcontracting. You might not have heard what you do there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not open to you. This is why research is necessary. And why May 22nd, 2026, at the UVI Great Hall, this Economic Development Summit is important to come in and be educated on these opportunities. How entrepreneurs can position themselves. Listen carefully. To access these contracts, entrepreneurs should first register as a vendor. Register with the Virgin Islands Office of Disaster Recovery vendor system. I gotta take notes and go there too. Step 2, get Section 3 certification. Register through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Section 3 Business Registry. Step 3, monitor government bid portals. Watch for RFPs and RFQs for projects funded by disaster recovery. Step 4, network with prime contractors. Large firms need local partners to meet compliance rules. So don't be afraid of the big boys. You know, if you have your business and you're confident in what you do, whether you're a catering company, cleaning company, construction, landscaping, you go to them, you showcase what you do, the fact that you're certified within Section 3, the fact that you're registered as a vendor through the Virgin Islands Office of Disaster Recovery, you know, and talk with them about becoming subcontracted. You know, now let's talk about high demand businesses right now. So these are some businesses that are in need right now, currently. Because of disaster recovery projects in the Virgin Islands, the most profitable opportunities include construction trades, which is concrete, roofing, electricity, HVAC, and then specialized services as far as drone surveying, GIS mapping, and governmental impact studies. Resilience engineering, and within the logistics would be material supplies, warehousing, and heavy equipment rental. So if your business falls under any one of these are some of the most high demanding contracts that are needed. You know, so businesses that are needed right now for these big entities to be able to, you know, properly complete their jobs. And like I said, they have to hire and subcontract local low income residents. So, example of a real contract flow. Let me give you a little example of what it is to get into the contract business. A typical federal recovery project might look like this. So, number 1, HUD provides funding. Number 2, funds go to the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. 3, managed by the Office of Disaster Recovery in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Number 4, large contractors wins the main project. Number 5, local Section 3 businesses receive subcontract work. This structure is designed to push wealth into local communities. Now, we talked about elevation last week. We talked about the need for self investment. We talked about wanting more for ourselves than the bare minimum. So with Section 3 and local preference rules, this is where we fit in. And I'm not excluding myself because I'm a current business owner. I just got in my business license and trademarked in my name and so forth, so forth. So if I ever want to, I could jump over and go and register with Section 3, register as a vendor, and just keep building my brand, which is known as Bridgepoint Media and Community Outreach Services, which falls under a scope of consulting and media, community outreach, and so much more. Look for my flyer to figure out the rest. I might take my flyer and read it to you, but right now we're focusing on what we can benefit from Section 3 and local preference rules, economical growth, and economic development. And big up to our chairman for economic development and agriculture, because outside of all these years when this has been something that has been hidden from us, it is now being exposed to the maximum. We have $25 billion, not million, but $1 billion in disaster recovery funds that needs to be utilized and spread through our territory and our residents, our low income residents. And that could be you. So let's talk about potential earnings. How about that? If I haven't piqued your interest yet, let's dive in a little more deeper. A small local company can realistically earn about 50,000 to 500,000 within small contracts. Also, 1 million plus as a subcontractor on major large projects. Across multiple projects, this can turn into a multi-million dollar local companies. Could you imagine having an idea, turning your idea into a business, getting registered as a vendor, then going on to getting certified within Section 3 to then therefore be able to have millions of dollars? Or even if you stay in a small section, have 500,000. Give me 1 second. I had to open the door for my future business man, my son. You know, so we talked about a lot. We talked about Section 3. We talked about we talked about local preference rules. We talked about companies that can benefit, subcontracting companies, opportunities for them. And just now we spoke about potential earnings, and a part of potential earnings, some of them require very little startup capital, but can generate six-figure government contracts. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine yourself investing in your license, not really having to do much? Because certain companies require to getting equipment and all these different stuff. But imagine that turning into something that earns you six figures. So I want to talk about the largest opportunities. And this is going to be a part of the booklet that is going to be handed out at the Economic Development Summit created by myself. But you'll be able to go home with it, and be able to educate yourself, do a bigger, deeper dive, and have your opportunity in hand. You know what I'm saying? And after the summit and after all that information flows, it's up to you. It's up to you to see where it goes. So, the largest opportunities: construction and infrastructure. Billions of dollars are being spent on rebuilding roads, hospitals, schools, utilities, and housing. Businesses that can grow: construction companies, concrete and asphalt productions, engineering firms, don't even dare. Architecture firms, surveying companies, heavy equipment rentals, electrical and plumbing contractors, roofing companies, hurricane resistant systems. The careers that fall under these different departments would be civil engineers, structural engineers, construction managers, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, welders, heavy equipment operators, survey technicians, and building inspectors. Estimated opportunity is between 8 to 12 billion dollars of funding. What more incentive are you need? Look, look, let me loose off my head tie because I need you to understand the seriousness behind of the opportunities that are coming your way, that is currently already here. You know, let's talk about energy, renewable energy and utilities. We talk about being upset because of WAPA. What are we going to do? A large portion of the funds are tied to energy resilience and grid modernization. Businesses would be solar installation companies, battery storage providers, microgrid developers, energy efficiency consulting firms, utility infrastructure contractors, and the careers that fall under these would be solar installers, electrical engineers, energy auditors, power grid technicians, utility line workers. Potential billions tied to modernization of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. Why not invest yourselves in that moment? Also, more businesses that will be that are needed, that have large opportunities within Section 3, and local uh what you got on my head? Local preference rules would be environmental and coastal protection. You don't know. This is something we need. Storm mitigation and environmental protection. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Um, Environmental protection projects will be significant. Businesses, coastal engineering firms, environmental consulting companies, mangrove restoration firms, marine construction contractors, water quality testing labs. As you saw, we had an issue with the people of the Virgin Islands versus Prosperity Farms for alleged disposal of waste, which was contaminating our waters, etc., etc. Careers that fall under these businesses would be environmental scientists, marine biologists, coastal engineers, GIS mapping specialists, and environmental compliance officers. Also, we have housing development. Thousands of homes require rebuilding or hardening against storms. Let's think about all the blue tarps that we see. Businesses would be real estate development companies, affordable house developers, modular home builders, property management firms. Careers that fall under this scope, and this is just a small portion that fall under housing development, environmental, coastal protection. I'm just giving you the tip of the iceberg. But careers that fall under housing development would be real estate agents, property managers, housing inspectors, mortgage specialists, construction trade workers. And now let's get into transportation and logistics. You know, from what I'm seeing, everybody have a space to fill in. Infrastructure spending increased demand for supply chains. Businesses such as shipping and freight companies, warehousing operations, construction material supply companies, trucking companies, we get a whole heap of them. Careers under this scope would be logistic managers, CDL truck drivers, warehouse managers, procurement specialists. Now, we also have technology and data management for our computer geeks and stuff like that. Businesses, federal recovery programs require strict reporting and compliances. This is where transparency comes in. IT consulting firms, data management companies, grant compliance consulting firms, and cyber security services. And the careers under this scope would be data analysts, IT specialists, grant compliance officers, project managers, management professionals, PMP, and let's move on to my favorite sector, small businesses and entrepreneurs. So ODR funding often includes small businesses, business grants, and revolving loan programs. And remember that too. Loans are something that you can take out once you know that it's a smart investment. Ahmed, door overs. And when I say a smart investment is, say you get a construction company, a construction company, you're gonna need equipment. You're gonna need probably a space to put your things or to hold your business. So if you invest in a loan, to be able to have that startup money, but then do the work by filing as a vendor and getting your Section 3 certificate, guess what? You're on the road to not only get the funds to pay back that loan, but you're going to be well put in place to take part in different contracts or subcontracting opportunities. Potential startups would be disaster mitigation products, construction supply stores, having bricks, having just the different tools, like I just said, what I'm saying, landscaping and erosion control companies. But big up to our landscapers because they have been taking this opportunity by storm. It is nothing, 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 nothing to get some weed whackers, to get some riding mowers, to get some landscaping equipment, and they have been doing the thing. So let's use them as an example. Not to say that our contractors haven't been doing it, but we could be in more full effect. And there's so many different categories that can benefit as well. Drone mapping services, waste recycling, and debris management. So these are underneath the small businesses and entrepreneurs. But like I said, this is a small scope as to the wide range that is actually necessary. Government contracting industry. Many contracts will go to territorial contracts. Um, Businesses that benefit would be contracting firms, professional service firms, project management, consulting firms, and careers that fall in that scope would be contract specialists, procurement officers, grant administrators, compliance auditors, you name it. Education and workforce training. Now, if you thought that you didn't want to do the work, but you're capable of teaching, this is where you fall in. So billions is spending required trained labor. So how about opening up a technical training institute, which trains individuals to be able to qualify for jobs within the scope of these contracts that fall under local preference rules and Section 3? Trade certification schools, which allows individuals to grow and be able to have better positions rather than just a laborer. Apprentice programs. The careers that fall under these would be trade instructors, workforce development coordinators, vocational trainers, likely partnership with the University of the Virgin Islands. So if you know that you went to school, you have the ability to open up these training programs, these training facilities, these trade schools, don't be afraid, step up, go out and speak to the necessary individuals at the UVI campus in regards to what you can offer and what you want to do. So let's continue. Tourism. Tourism is one of our biggest industries here in the Virgin Islands. Tourism infrastructure. Economic resilience includes tourism upgrades. Businesses under this scope would be hotel renovations, contracts, ecotourism operations, and marine development firms. Careers that fall under this scope would be hospitality management, which a lot of you need, tour operators, marine mechanics, and charter boat captains. How much boatman we get out here? So it's just about investing in yourself, finding where you fit in. And like I said already, don't take the fact that you didn't hear your business or your ideas as a means to I don't qualify for Section 3 or local preference rules. This is just a summary with a scope of what and who can benefit. Um, Key opportunities for St. Croix, and this is also a few. That would be port redevelopment and logistics, solar energy farms, housing reconstruction, industrial development and refinery areas, and tourism expansion on the island. The bottom line of all of this is $25 billion recovery fund can realistically generate thousands of construction jobs, hundreds of new businesses, small businesses, large term career in engineering, energy, and environmental science, major contracting companies for the Virgin Islands companies. Now, before we end, right, I just want to let you guys know once again Section 3, priorities for local low income workers and businesses. HUD Section 3 program is a federal rule that applies to housing and community development. Funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. What it means is when government agencies spend HUD disaster recovery money, they must try to give jobs and contracts to local residents and local businesses first, especially those that employ low income residents, are owned by low income residents, and hire workers from public housing or disadvantaged communities. You know, businesses that qualify as Section 3 would be a company. A company may qualify if it meets one of these conditions: 51% owned by low income residents, or 30% of employees are low income residents. The business commits to hiring low income residents for the project. This gives the companies priority access to contracts. Type of contracts available through Section 3. Once again, local businesses can win work in areas like construction, roofing, electrical, plumbing, masonry, carpentry, professional services such as project management, engineering, environmental consulting, accounting, compliance monitoring, and support services as far as security, transportation, landscaping, catering, and cleaning services. Local preference rules would be the government of the Virgin Islands allows local businesses to receive preferences in government bidding. What this means: when contracts are awarded, local companies may receive extra evaluation points. Outside companies may require to partner with local subcontractors. Some contracts are set aside for Virgin Islands businesses. So put in your calendar, mark the date, come out to UVI's Great Hall on May 22nd, 2026, so that you can have a full blown experience of economic development and learn more about economical growth. You know, before we go, big up to DTF Printing, director film, high quality on St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. Numbers to call is 707-671-2481. And also a big shout out to Serenity's Nest. Tonight we got the playlist, DJ Aurora. You understand me? Doors open at 6 p.m. Well, I think it opens before that, but food and drinks on sale, a fully stocked live bar that serves mixed drinks, wines, beers, water, soda, you name it. You understand me? In Christmas season no more, so they ain't got no coquito to share with me. But come out, support 420, welcome in, you know what I'm saying? And on Sunday, Make sure you mark your calendar. It's a go green. You know exactly what we mean. Catalyst and Fire Train Band. At doors open at 4 p.m. The band starts at 7 and it's until 11 p.m. But no cruisions and cruision timing. It got done when they said the party done. Fully stocked live bar once again, mixed drinks, beers, wine, you name it. Might have their vendors there with some amazing merch that you can purchase and take home as keepsakes, whatsoever. And the People for Positive Change Committee is going to be having their first annual fundraiser, and they're going to be selling food over at the Serenity's Nest on Friday. Entry fee $10. You can't ball. You understand me? Tonight's menu over at Serenity's will be alkaline platters, seasoned burglar, wheat marinated kale and arugula, cucumber salad, plantain salad, nori rolls wrap, almond meat with peppers, avocados. So come out, support, and enjoy yourself. You know what I'm saying? I could let you to know it's a vibe that you're going to just continue to want more and more of. I've been sitting down and I've been listening to all individuals who are currently putting their hat in a race. And I just want to pray to God that, you get what you're seeking from it. And also I want to say thank you to the office of Senator Hubert L. Fredericks for bringing this economic summit, development summit, to the people of the Virgin Islands so they can know the opportunities that is laid out for them. And I hope that this boosts you, or for those of you who was thinking about it but didn't want to do it because you're skeptical. Well, guess what? I'm going to read to you an article I wrote for myself and my feelings in regards to owning my own business. And I hope that it inspires you, to do the same. I hope that it inspires you to see the potential within you and your idea. Last night we had Taco Tuesday. Oh, big up to Royal Team Studio people. And for those of you who have an ongoing podcast, if you're doing it at home or whatever, they currently have studio, a renting of the studio for space with equipment, mics, Shure SMB7 computer with audio software, speaker, mixer, internet access, full foam padded room, which is great for lack of echoing, perfect for podcast, streaming, interview contents, content creations, and so much more. Royal Teams Studio. Book your session today at www.royalteamstudio.com or contact him at 404-620-9317. Prices starting at $50 per hour. And I feel this is a big investment if you want your podcast to be more professionally structured. Like I said, invest in yourself because you never know where your investment might lead. Limited spots available. Secure your spots by booking now. Spots will be adjusted according to bookings, so reserve early. And here we go. The best investment I have ever made was in Myself by Taniqua Knowles. There comes a moment in life when you realize that waiting for opportunities is no longer enough. You have to build them yourselves. For me, that moment arrived when I made the decision to invest in something far more valuable than stocks, trends, or temporary success. I decided to invest in myself. Self investment is not always glamorous, it requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to step into the unknown. But it is the most powerful investment anyone can make because it builds something that no one can take away: your growth, your knowledge, and your independence. Recently, I took one of the biggest steps of my professional journey, formally establishing my own business. What began as an idea, skills, and passion has now transformed into something tangible. Filing for my business license, taking the time to trademark my business name, and positioning myself for contract opportunities were not just administrative steps. They were declarations that I am serious about building something that belongs to me. There is a unique kind of excitement that comes with owning your own business. It's the kind of excitement that keeps your mind racing with ideas late at night. The kind that makes every small victory feel monumental. It's the realization that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step towards something you are creating with your own vision. Entrepreneurship is not just about income, it is about ownership, independence, and legacy. It is about waking up each day knowing that the work you're going to do is directly connected to the future you are building. Of course, the journey comes with its shares of reflection. Becoming a business owner forces you to examine your image, your values, and the way you present yourself to the world. Your reputation becomes part of your brand. The way that you communicate, the integrity you carry, the consistency of your work all becomes reflections of the business you represent. But more than anything, the experience has filled me with optimism for the future. Owning a business opens doors to possibilities that once felt distant. It allows you to imagine expansion, new opportunities, partnerships, and the chance to impact your community in meaningful ways. It turns ambition into action. And perhaps the most rewarding part of the journey is knowing that the courage to take the first step, no matter how uncertain it felt, was worth it. Self investment is not always easy. It requires risks, it requires faith in your ability, even when others may not see your vision yet. But when you choose to bet on yourself, you begin to realize something powerful. The greatest return on investment comes from believing in your own potential and having the courage to build something from it. And for me, this is only the beginning. So, Bridgepoint Media and Community Outreach Services, connecting communities, amplifying voices, and delivering impact. My services, media communication, which consists of press release, news articles, and editorial writing, podcast production, strategy, public messaging, social media content creation, newsletter development. Yes, I do it all. Research and data services, data analysts and reports, community needs assessments, policy research, impact reports, creative and digital services, website development, QR code creation, graphic design, flyers and brochures, and marketing material, also speech writing, government and legislative services, legislative analysts, bill research and policy summaries, hearing coverage and reports, public information campaigns, government communication, community outreach, community engagement campaigns, consulting services support, public awareness initiatives, in event planning and coordinating, publishing and writing, book publishing support, manuscript editing, and professional writing services. Why choose Bridgepoint Media? Well, experienced media professional, community focused solutions, strategic communication expertise, strategic community communication expertise, and trusted voice in public affairs. Bridgepoint Media and Community Outreach. My email, dreamcatchers1023@gmail.com, and my number 340-209-2083. Believe in yourself and know that you can do it too. This is just the tip of the iceberg of my journey. My journey started from publishing my first book, then on to me becoming a local well-known radio host and a media personality, onto this portion where I'm self-investing and pushing my skills out to the world. I'm going to be a bridge for you, the people, and our government, so that situations like this, Section 3 and local preference rules, are made known and made public. I love IO. I appreciate you all always for tuning in and allowing me to bring you insight. You know, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to always be able to be in your presence and to always be able to know that I am loved, you know, and I give thanks to God and to my support system. Before we leave today, I just want to say a small prayer. I want to thank you, God, for giving me the strength to come about every day, to be a mother, to be a friend, to be a current business owner, to be a daughter, to be a cousin, an auntie. One of my biggest pet peeves, being an auntie now, but being a sister, just being a mentor, being an inspiration. I thank you so much that you continue to have your hand over my life. I plead the blood of Jesus over the entire Virgin Islands, that they see there is more to them, to see the wealth within their own hands, and also to bring light to love, unity, and pride in the Virgin Islands. I thank you so much for the opportunity to wake up this morning and to wake up again this afternoon when I took my sleep. I thank you for just always giving me love and understanding when no one else is capable of doing so. I want to thank you for all the opportunities that you laid out for me and for my family and for the people of the Virgin Islands. I want to thank you for continuously forgiving and being so loving. We take advantage at times how forgiving and loving you are, but I, for a fact, have made up my mind that I no longer want to take advantage of you. I want to take advantage of the love that you shared with me in a good way. I want to embrace it. I want to feel it on a higher and a deeper level. I don't want to take advantage of the fact that you love us so much that you will continuously forgive us. But sometimes individuals take that love and they take advantage of it, Father God. And I don't want to be that one. I want to be the one that is able to embrace you on a different level. I thank you for those of you who are stepping up. For the people of the Virgin Islands, I wish you all the best. I pray for you as I pray for myself. I want to pray for my mom and her continued recovery. I want to pray for the children of the Virgin Islands to understand and know that you are not alone. And if ever needed, I am right here. I want to pray for my children so that they could continue to grow. And as they get older and their thoughts and emotions start to get heightened, that you walk with them through it so that they could understand life and understand that there is more to life than just the simple things. I thank you so much, and I pray over all the man black, I love her, I appreciate her, I pray over every relationship, whether it's friendship, family, romantic relationship, you name it. I thank you for those of you who have been in my life as inspirations. Thank you to Pastor Desta Skeppel for being a person who invested in me from a very young age. Thank you for positive T.A. Nelson for being a positive impact on the Virgin Islands, on myself throughout some of my darkest days. Thank you to Josh and the entire WSTX team. Big up to Robert Moorhead. Continue to rest in peace. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the love. I also want to big up the office of Senator Hubert L. Frederick. Thank you for being that foot in the door for the people of the Virgin Islands, for myself. Thank you so much for being the type of person that you are, and I thank you all who sit and speak on our behalf. And I pray over you today that God guides you, guide your tongue, guide your intentions. And I ask that anything done in the dark comes to the light. And with that, I wish you the best. So check out, like I said, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. Tonight, check out Serenities live and direct. Be understand it. Check out Serenities tonight and Sunday night. Tonight is DJ Aurora with the playlist. Like I said, food and drinks on sale, live, fully stocked live bar. But Sunday is the night to come out. Fire Train Catalyst and Fire Train Band. Spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's only $10 to enter in. And people for positive change, are going to be out. Positive people for positive change is going to be out selling food. Make sure you go out. And I gotta say, when you go over to Serenities, no matter who it is, you're getting good food always. $10 to enter. That'll be on Sunday. Put it on your calendar. May 22nd, 2026. Community. This is for you. Economic Development Summit. Economic Development Summit. Becca Calypso Anal. You understand me? But love you all and continue. Mm-hmm.